Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. And it's coming right up. You're going to hear a roar of the crowd, and believe me, you will never, ever forget it. Are you ready? Count it down. Ready? Okay, here we go now. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11.
All right, everybody, let's get on it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Better here at Mission Control as we are live on YouTube with the post-game show. And to call it a heartbreaker would be a massive understatement. I don't know what to call it. It was a 34-31 loss. The Lions led this game 24-7 at the half. Things fell apart really in about 6 or 7 plays. The whole game turned.
Yeah.
Much of it was the Lions' fault, things that you wouldn't expect. A fumble from somebody you would not expect to fumble. A couple of drops from somebody you would not expect to drop the ball. I also thought the flea flicker, I thought J-Mo, that ball was right in his...
Definitely catchable.
Yeah. What is going on? It was so weird, that stretch of time there. And then there was also the J-Mo catch he dropped and then reclaimed from the from the defensive back.
I know. Everyone's like, hey, amazing catch by J-Mo. It's like, but he should have caught it. Should have been a regular catch.
No, he almost gave it away. It was like, what is going on? That was bizarre. But everybody on Twitter is losing their minds over the Lions going for it on 4th down on both occasions. People were very angry about the first one. The second one, all hell broke loose. And I have to admit, I was even pissed, although it wasn't a sure thing. I think it was about 48 yards, because I was afraid they'd get down 2 scores.
On the second one? On the second field
I was
goal,
they were down 3, and I thought if they don't make this 4th and 3, the 49ers could easily score and go up 10 points, and then we have nothing.
I don't know. Is there a lack of faith in Badgley, the most handsome man in the NFL, by the way? You know me, I love going for it on 4th down. I love that Dan Campbell does that. The first one I thought was a little more ridiculous because that was only, they're on the 28, so you're talking, what, 44, 43, 45 yards.
I didn't really like either
to go
one
up
of them.
3 possessions, and boy, the game turned after Reynolds dropped that pass, unfortunately.
It did, and obviously Reynolds didn't forget about it either because he dropped the next pass, which was right in the breadbasket.
Stomach.
Eli, what are your first thoughts?
Well, I agree with everything you're saying. It's, at the half, which was a perfectly played half by the Lions, they couldn't have played any better. They were exactly what they've been all year long, incredibly creative on offense. Their defense was playing spectacularly, holding the 49ers to 7 points. Ultimately, in the end, it was some freak plays. It was, as you say, Reynolds dropping a 4th and 2. It wasn't an easy catch, but it's a catch he should have had. He got both hands on it. The freaky play where Brandon Ayuki catches that ball off Kindle Vildor's face. And come on, and it pops into his hands. Then he makes a TD catch a little after that, brings it to 24-17. And then it was just a botched play. Gibbs ran the wrong way and fumbled the ball, gave him another one, but ultimately bad tackling, and and Purdy, who was not a scrambler, scrambling for multiple first downs, it just made the difference, and it's a tragedy. Lion fans have waited so long, and now the football gods make them wait a little bit longer. The cruelty, ultimately, I'd like the Lion fans to think, before we discuss, the more gory details, it's not the end. It's really just the beginning. Sadly enough, hard to see tonight. Young team, dynamic coach. He should be coach of the year. Brad Holmes should be executive of the year. The Ford family finally figured it out, but this was just a freaky series of events that put an incredible season down the drain in ways that you're right, it's going to take a while for people to emotionally get past this. But once the 49ers got those breaks, once they got it to 24 all. It's funny because the Lions had 92% chance in the analytics of winning at the half. 92% chance.
That makes it even worse.
Had 18 first downs to 280, and so at the half you say, there's no way they're going to blow this game, right? This is meant to happen. It's been a beautiful season, a beautiful team. There's 35,000 people at Ford Field watching this. The 49ers can't move the ball. Goff is an experienced quarterback. Purdy is a young player. And then the shit just fell apart. You mentioned the reasons.
Halftime was
the reasons
great.
are obvious, and it's a shame. It only takes 2 or 3 screwed up plays at the wrong time, and that pass bouncing off the face mask of Vildor will go down in Lion infamy if in future years they don't use that as a stimulus to come back and be great. I do think they'll be great. I do think they're going to contend for years to come. But this was really a ball buster tonight, and
well, it could be, it could be that we've seen this with a lot of teams, like the bad boys, the Pistons, for example, where they're building up to that point, and Isaiah throws that bad pass, and I'm sure everyone felt like, oh my God, when they stole the ball.
Yeah, DJ the Bird
stole the ball. Whatever Johnny Most said.
That's the first time I cried. Remember, we talked about that at 105. I cried after that.
I cried when the Cubs. The next year they take the Lakers to Game 7, and Lane Beer called for a foul. No, they're going to win it in Game 6. Lane Beer called for a foul on Jabbar. They win that one and then take Game 7. It's just. And the same thing happened with the Pistons against the Spurs in 05, with Rasheed Wallace left Robert Horry. So I'm trying to think of other games where they were right there.
That was after they had won. They had won the championship the year before, and the next year they lost to the Spurs in 7 games. But you're right, Horry was left open, and what's Horry's nickname?
Big Shot Bob.
Big Shot Bob, yeah. But a lot of times you do have to build up to get over that hump, and I don't know that the Lions would have beaten the Chiefs, honestly. I'm sure the Chiefs would have been favored by a significant amount, although if the Lions had won that game today, the Lions train would really, really, really be rolling. Were they ready for the moment today? It's in the first half, it sure felt like they were. It felt like everything was firing on all cylinders. That first drive was brilliant. And I was impressed that they had the scripted play to J-Mo, by the way, because that's scripted, that first drive, right?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, and it worked brilliantly. And the blocking, God, Penny Sewell's blocking and the pulling, and it was just perfect. And then just that stretch of, that whole game came down to 6 or 7 plays, which is unbelievable when you're leading a game by 17 points, or 14 points at that point, that it could go that way. But it just did. They could have been up 17.
It's that fumble. I think it's really, isn't it the fumble?
The Gibbs fumble?
Well,
of all the shitty plays in there, that was big.
I think dropping the pass on 4th and 2 by Reynolds was that began the demise right there.
Agreed, but because still at that point,
they would have had a 45-yard field goal. They would have been up 27-10. 3. I'm saying to myself, kick it. You'll go up 3 scores. Kick it. Now they got to score 3 times to beat you. Kick the fucking ball.
Did anyone? I'm just curious.
I agree with that, but it's still a 2-possession game there. They score, you're still up a possession. You fumble on the next play.
No, that was the time. It was almost unbelievable. It's like, no, that couldn't have happened. He could not have fumbled. Not Gibbs. Gibbs, the most dependable. That's just a guy you don't expect to make a mistake like that. I want to be sure to mention, though, because I didn't mention it, that Kirk Gibson said he will join us if we call him in about another 10 minutes, I believe. How far in are we, Mark?
We're not too far in right now.
How's the crowd? Are people jumping on the chat?
Yeah. Oh, wow. About 600, it looks like.
Okay, good. Yeah, I wondered if people would be so bummed out they wouldn't want to hear about the game. But
hey, misery loves company.
It's the end of the season, so hopefully come one, come all, and subscribe if you don't mind. And we will get to Gibby, who has certainly been in many, many moments like this. And I'm sure he has a lot to say. He was. It's unusual for Gibby to text, but he was actually texting me during the game, which tells you he was into it big time.
Yeah, the game is going on. I'm thinking about the big watch party in the sky. I just seen that story about the guy who wrote on his gravestone, sorry, Lions, I couldn't wait any longer. And I just picture this cosmic event where they're all there, all the old media, Joe Falls and Jerry Green and Bobby Lane's he's the one who said the curse of the Lions. It's going to take 50 years. And here they were going to go to the Super Bowl finally. And,
it did. It felt perfect. I mean, it really did. When you're watching in the first half there, it's like, wow, everything is sometimes it comes together for a team and they're just ready to take it. And I felt like the Lions were one of those teams, but it just all blew up in such a short. It's just so strange the way they lost that game. That's not like them.
Yeah. I hate that feeling too, because halftime we were all so bumped up. We're laughing at memes on Twitter and laughing at the fact that Journey's playing halftime at the stadium.
We were debating doing a halftime live spot during the Super Bowl and then once I thought about it, I was like, well, Usher's playing. I think a lot of our audience would rather hear a little chitter chatter than Usher.
I know.
I mean, I really felt like I wasn't sure. I knew the Niners were formidable, but I just
we were all spending our gambling winnings, which went poof and then came back.
Yeah, you won the money.
Me, I don't know what's going on. I just know the Lions got 7 in that game. It's crazy.
What was the over in that game? The over under
52.5.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking. Remember years ago, Brady and the Patriots lost the Super Bowl get to Eli Manning when the receiver, I forget his name, caught the ball with his hand between his hand and his helmet, and plays like that play that kept the drive alive that enabled the Giants to win lingers in history, in Giants history, and now this play will linger in 49ers history. The incredible absurdity of in fact, I thought, and I don't even know what the rule is, I thought the receiver interfered with Kindle trying to catch the ball, but they never call on the offensive guy. He can break up a pass because it's just.
Are you talking about the ball that bounced off his?
Yeah.
You said Kindle. You mean
with him, but
Vindor?
Whatever.
Yeah, with Vindor, whatever.
Yeah, but and Gibbs had played so well. He had played so well tonight. He scored a touchdown. He had big runs. I mean, the way they blocked, the way they were moving the linemen around, the way Penny Sewell was this roving tackle, and they running behind him and Montgomery had a great game. It was a perfect game. It was right there.
Yeah, the offensive line was
series of events, passing up 2 field goals. Again, as Greg Olson said, the color commentator, this is how they. I don't agree that this is how they got there by going on 4th down. But his point was they were staying true to their form, and he didn't want to point to Campbell for making those decisions. I thought the 4th and 3 was kind of desperate too, because they still. You have to trust your field goal kicker. That's 6 points they gave up. They got 0 instead, and that's the difference.
But there's
only a couple plays make a difference in a game anyway, and it's a couple of plays, and you can look at 2 or 3 plays to drop 4th down, the goofy bounce off the face of the defender, and the Gibbs fumble.
And the second drop by Reynolds. But let's open it up. Gibby is on the line, and Gibby watched the game, of course, down in Florida. Gibby, your first thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Dan Campbell has to say right now. He's awesome. I'd want to be Dan Campbell. He had a great year, and you guys are talking about whether he went 4th down or not. Just look at how many times this year he did it, and that's part of the identity of the Lions, and not doing it would have been uncivilized. So, I mean, people make plays or not, when you get in, if you put yourself in that stadium, what happened, some freak plays, one off the face mask, a couple drops. The receivers have been great through this run, but a couple of drops, they get behind, and you can feel it. That's one of the things about being at home is your advantage. You can feel that, and all of a sudden it's just a little peekaboo. Your hands aren't quite as soft, and you make a drop. But these guys had an outstanding season. Dan Campbell has done a hell of a job, and I'm sure that he would have a great post-game speech. I had to do it in 2011. We lost to Milwaukee, and I had to go in and talk to the team. And we were kind of the same type of team. Everybody was telling us, we weren't good. Nobody expected us to win, and I didn't give an F. If they cared, I didn't care what they thought. We knew who we were, and I feel like Dan Campbell's really established a personality about the Detroit Lions and where they're headed. So we're in good hands.
Well, yeah, he should be coach of the year. There's no question about that. And look what Brad Holmes has done the last 2 years. Look who he drafted last year and this year. I mean, these are the first string Lions stars. So
And they're going to get better.
It's been an incredible run. It's been stunning. And it's just hard to absorb or accept that you get this close and you got a 17-point halftime lead on the road, playing with confidence. But like you say, Gibby, and like we've been saying all along, just takes a couple of plays really just turn the tide, and that's the nature of the game. Sadly enough,
I'll tell you the play that I replay in my mind. It was the last play on the kickoff. If you look, now they were going to call him short. We had the ball had a good bounce on it, and I didn't see who touched the ball.
Laporta.
But if he would have went on and just smoked because what they do is the guys on the front line was drawn out. They're all blockers, but we got through there. If he just went through and smoked that 49er back there with the hands, we had a great chance. There was nobody else back there. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That was a little. It was still a long shot in any case, even if they had recovered. But yeah, would have given him a chance.
No, instead of go for the ball, the Lions should have just went for the guy. But a couple things. Drew Jameson Williams, he had a pretty good start, and I thought, he's a guy that we've maybe been a little critical of. How'd you guys like the announcers? Did you feel like we were getting picked on a little bit?
Yes, a little bit.
That Greg Olson, I was like, fuck off, man. He was talking about how the linebacker went behind and got to the play. Well, Detroit saw that, and we went right and sucked him in, and when we scored, that kid scored a touchdown on the next one. I thought, how about it's just everything? I said, come on, give me a break.
Well, how about?
But, hey, I can be a fan. I know people rip on me too. So, but I said F off more than once to that guy.
No, we love you to be a fan, but actually you provide a lot of perspective, because it's hard, right after a game like that to come on and say, hey, that's Dan Campbell's personality. That's how they got there. I mean, that's true. Of course it's true. But it is hard for fans watching at home not to say, oh, but if they just had those 3 points, then, they could have tied it up at the end of the game. Or if they just had 6 points, they would have won the game. But they did do that all season. It takes a lot more balls to go for it. If Reynolds catches that ball, we probably end the game.
I'll tell you,
now, wait a minute. That's the first one. He also dropped the perfect pass that hit him in the stomach. It hit him in the stomach on 3rd and 10, and that way they were still ahead 24-17. They lose the possession there because he dropped it on 3rd and 10, and then they punt and they failed to down it on the 1 yard line. I thought they had it down there, and that might have prevented the San Francisco from coming down again. So that special teams play cost them too.
So if you look at the play before half, we went for the 3 points, right?
Yeah.
That was very smart, because if it's not right before half, if you don't make it, they're on the 1 yard line. They're 99 away, right?
Sure.
So he did the right thing by taking the points there. Hey, he's on. I will say the way he motivates and the way he gets to these guys, and they're drinking the Kool-Aid, the Campbell-Aid. It's hard to do that year in and year out. It kind of reminds me of somebody, I was kind of like that, and
you're saying,
when you get hot,
you're saying the
good,
rah-rah stuff doesn't last after a while? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying those guys believed in Dan Campbell, what he said. They played at high energy. It's exhausting, and next year it may be a different technique, but I think we're in really good hands with Dan Campbell. He was very impressive.
I couldn't agree more. It's hard not to be really excited about this team's future. It's so disappointing right now because clearly they could have, should have, would have won that game if. But Dan Campbell didn't drop those passes. Dan Campbell didn't fumble the ball. And as far as Campbell, I think of him as being kind of old school, the grit and biting kneecaps and all that. But he also he's a very current guy, too, in that it seems like he has great relationships with his players. He loves them all. They love him.
He likes analytics. I mean, we know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's no Bobby Knight in terms of being an old school guy or a Mike Ditka. He's very
smart,
likable, lovable guy.
People don't realize how smart the guy is.
He's tough and he's sensitive at the same time. He cries, he gets emotional. He shows the gambit of emotions, and he's honest. He's not full of shit. He's the real deal. And and the other thing is, the Lions became a great national story this year. It was a great story. Everybody picked up on it for good reason. It's been since 1957. The city's response, the noise in Ford Field, it all resonated. So football fans know the Lions now. They know the team is for real. They weren't a fluke. They didn't just catch lightning in a bottle at the end to get there. They were there all year long. They have for a year and a half. And that's, I think, a positive to take out, that there is a foundation here with an owner, finally somebody in the Ford family that really gets it, hired these two guys. Sheila Hamp had the guts to hire these two guys that really didn't have, well, one was an assistant GM, but Campbell had not a long resume as a coach, believed in them, and she was right. And so you have faith in management, you have faith in the leaders on the field, and you have great faith in the general manager, who has got a knack for drafting, and not only a knack for drafting, look what he got by trading Stafford for Goff. So it was all perfect until this third quarter, the third quarter that will live in Lions infamy, depending on if they don't use this as a springboard and go back and make it to the Super Bowl and follow up with this like we'd like them to.
Well, that game would have...
The fumble was the big difference. But Drew, I mean, you know what it feels like when we had our bowling match. You guys were way out in front, and you know when it got sped up, and in the end, you just couldn't get it to hook anymore, right?
Well, and the electric football game too. I felt it then as well.
Electric football game.
If you want to go back about 25 years, when you beat me in electric football, yes, I was way up in that game also. So I do have that feeling.
Wait a second.
No,
you blamed it on Maz, though. You blamed it on Maz. This is going to be interesting to see who's blaming who,
Well,
Maz Campbell's going to take full responsibility.
Maz choked. He did. And I would blame the electric football game on Mike, but I don't think it was Mike's fault. I think the feelers were off on one of our ball carriers or something. I don't know. Or the passing game was...
still sting you.
So Drew, what are people texting? Are they crying? Are they optimistic? What are some of the messages that you're getting from fans?
Well, what I've seen so far is that kind of that wave of where people are questioning Campbell's calls and then kind of saying, yeah, but this is what got them here. I think it's disappointing because they had such a big lead. If it was just a loss where they were down by a possession the whole game, does it hurt as bad? No, it's because people were ready to book trips to Vegas for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to lose the offensive coordinator. Obviously, Ben Johnson is 1 to 10 odds in Washington, meaning that he's the choice for their next head coach. I think they can replace him. They got to be better in the secondary, and the tackling. Gibby, the tackling tonight. They had Purdy, who's caught 2 or 3 times. They couldn't bring down McCaffrey, who's also a great back. I don't know whether you can really teach better tackling. I don't know, but that was a big problem tonight too. Big problem.
Hey, that guy McCaffrey. You watch how he runs into the hole. He stops a little bit, waits for the defense to go by, accelerates, goes left, goes right. He's the best running back in the league this year. I mean, he played well. They had good players. They played well. We had good players. We stood there and took a couple of the chops. We played. We had a very good team. The fumble was uncharacteristic. Drew, you and I were talking before the game. Said just keep believing who you are in the Detroit Lions. No turnovers and no stupid penalties. And they did everything except one thing, and San Francisco jumped on it. Quickly.
Yeah, and honestly, you would not expect Reynolds to drop the first ball or the second ball. You would never expect Gibbs to fumble the ball. I don't even think anybody hit the ball. I don't know what happened on that play.
I gotta say the one does. I know we keep talking about Reynolds' drop and then J-Mo's. Could have had that long touchdown and the other miraculous.
That was another one in that stretch.
Where is Mr. Third Down, Amon-Ra St. Brown? How do you not get the ball in his hands?
I know
on that
it's a
fourth
good
down?
question.
Second half.
Yeah.
Although Reynolds was open on both those plays, and you would expect him to catch the ball. He does catch the ball.
I get it, but you hate it when
I know what you're saying.
I feel like he is our best offensive weapon, more than Gibbs, more than Montgomery, even more than Laporta, and it just sucks when he disappears. You got to get the ball to him one way or the other.
Several times he and Laporta, and this is one thing that the announcers pointed out, it's true. They made it on 3rd and 12, on a run by Gibbs. They made it on 3rd and 15 a couple of times, that they throw it short of the first down marker, and these guys are able to get the extra 3 or 4 yards and make it happen. They got, so Laporta's a good receiver. I think he uses receivers well. You're right, they could have gone to St. Brown maybe a few more times, but they did quite a bit. I don't know what the final stats were, but all their receivers did well, except for the 2 drops by Reynolds and the fact that J-Mo might have, should have, could have had that touchdown pass at the end.
Well, it was nice of that Firsker guy to step out of bounds on the 3-yard line, too.
That was unfortunate.
I mean, when you have 2 guys out in Mitchell and Brock Wright for injury, and you got to go to a guy from Harvard who hasn't played much, I guess that's to be expected.
I couldn't believe he couldn't stop.
I know.
Well, how long did it take to get to stop? Gibby, you could have stopped and scored on that play. Please acknowledge that.
I could have. I think you could have with your hip.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. That was a bad hit. He couldn't.
There was no one near him. I mean, all he had to do was stop.
Wait a minute. How about this though? The line was 7 all up to the game, and all of a sudden it's 7.5. What was the spread?
I got it at 7. That's all I know.
Yeah.
7.5, I think, in the end, or 7.
But it was 7.
Yes,
That's why you got to buy it when the value's good.
they're pretty good, aren't they?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're very good.
Now, let me ask anybody, when the Lions were on the 2-yard line and at the end of the game and Goff threw incomplete and there was like a minute 10 left and they just have to score, obviously. They still have their 3 timeouts, though, and they decided to run the ball. And I honestly thought, God, of course they can get a yard. Were you guys thinking they would run the ball or they should run the ball?
I wasn't thinking either of that. I just figured that they would get in on 3rd and 2. They run the ball so well. I figured that, that's kind of the safest play. But yeah, who knows? It's
Good
call they made.
play. I think it was a good choice either way. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Either way.
the problem is you have to score if you're running the ball, and they didn't for some reason. And it seemed like they got forward, they got yardage on every carry of the night, just about. But the one they really needed, of course, it probably wouldn't have mattered because the 49ers would have either gotten a first down or the Lions would have gotten the ball deep in their territory with 10, 20, 30 seconds left at the most. So I'm sure it really wasn't.
San Francisco's trying too there, so sometimes you gotta tip your hat. You don't want to do that. But
they did play very well.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Experience that the Lions went through this year are going to help them in next year and beyond. If they get to the playoffs again next year, I believe it'll help them some more. In the meantime, we got to hope the Wings get in.
Oh.
And the Big Tigers. The Big Tigers.
We got you're right, Gibby. The Wings at least are in the wild card for the playoff. They won the last couple. But I'm thinking, because I'm watching Saturday Night Live last year, and the opening skit, they do the NFL Today kind of mock-up, and they say in the middle of it, well, after today, it's all over. There's no other live TV worth watching for the rest of the winter. I mean, you got the 5-win Pistons losing at home to the 7-37 Wizards. Michigan State and Michigan are both just not having, let's be kind and say they're having off years, except for the Wings in the wild card chase. We're just and how do you root for them? When I read that 3-page article on how they screwed Al Sabatka, it's like, did you guys read? Did you guys see that article about poor Al Sabatka?
Yeah, put it by you, Eli, that you know all the negative things to look out for if we should choose to.
Yeah, Eli, the Pistons won today. Come on, man.
Did they? I can't
they
even
beat the
watch
Thunder,
Michigan
I think.
play at all.
No, the
Michigan
Pistons.
basketball is
the Detroit
an
Pistons
abomination.
won.
Who the Pistons? Who did they beat
They
today?
beat the Thunder pretty handily.
Really?
I think, yeah.
Wow. Hey, going back to the Lions game, which is very fresh, of course. Did the 49ers make any big mistakes in that game? Because honestly, I'm trying to think of penalties or turnovers. They really didn't make any major mistakes, did they?
Trying to think here.
Not that I can think of. No, I mean, they were just getting destroyed in the trenches in the first half and then somehow fixed that miraculous. I think the Lions made more mistakes than the 49ers made great plays, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, the 49ers did.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up the...
It was a pretty good game, pretty clean game all in all. You know, guys didn't... Like the Kansas City game and the Baltimore, they lost their composure.
Yeah.
They had real stupid plays, very selfish. You saw no selfishness at all in the Lions. They don't have any stupid penalties, and it was pretty scrappy out there. I mean, you know, San Francisco in that first half, they really were trying to hit Detroit in the mouth and kind of treat them like stepchildren, I guess. But the Lions came back. They jammed down their throats. The worst thing for the Lions was halftime. We had momentum, but we were really rolling. You got to give San Francisco credit. They made some adjustments, and the Lions lost a little bit of the momentum, and the one fumble, they gobbled it up and took it in.
Hey, Gibby, going back to the Kansas City Baltimore game, as a manager, that's got to drive you crazy when a guy like Flowers catches a 51-yard ball and then taunts the guy, spins the ball down on him after taunting him, gets a 15-yard penalty. I mean, how absolutely dumb. They probably would have scored instead of fumbling on the 1-yard line if he had not gotten that penalty.
Yeah, he had good. He went over and hit the bench and cut his hand, and then he fumbled going into the... I mean, I view that as being selfish, because and Dan Campbell talks about doing it for the team, doing it for each other, and if you really buy into that, you don't do things like that. But you know, some people just get emotional like that, and the greatest thing is there was no retaliation when Flowers did that. There was no retaliation, so you know it's kind of like hockey when the guy goes in. You know, you turtle a little bit. You take your ass kicking. You get the power play, but you don't retaliate. So, yeah, that game was.
Baltimore had those two roughing penalties late in the first half. One guy on Kelsey, the other guy hit Mahomes in the face, and you know the Chiefs got a field goal out of that. It was really selfish, like you say. And the sad thing about Flowers, how stupid it was for the taunting penalty. He made two great plays. He got on a first down after that.
Yeah.
And he reached to get in the end zone and got a brilliant play by L'Jarius Sneed, ripped it out of his hands. So, but yes, it was the stupid penalty that put him back that cost him the touchdown.
All right, you guys want to hear Dan Campbell?
Sure.
We got Dan Campbell at the podium.
Guys, you know, a lot of credit. We knew they wouldn't go away, and you know, they made the plays today. You know, Coach Shanahan's a hell of a coach. That's a team that you know, they've done it, they lived it, and they made the plays. So credit to them. I'm really proud of all these guys. I am. I mean, and it's hard when you lose that way. It's hard. You know, you feel like you get your heart ripped out. So, but I'm proud of that group, and I'll go anywhere with that group. And you wish you could keep it all together, but that's not the reality. So, you know, we did some really good things, but today we didn't do enough, and it's tough. It's questions.
So you had 2 fourth down decisions that were.
Of course,
yes.
That were what?
The field goal question.
2 fourth down decisions that were close. I think was converted.
Yeah.
You know, particularly the second one.
You know, and it's easy hindsight, and I get it. You know, I get that, but I don't regret those decisions, and that's hard. You know, it's hard because, you know, we didn't come through. It wasn't able to work out, but I don't. And I understand the scrutiny I'll get. That's part of the gig, man. But, you know, we just didn't work out.
How can you not like this guy, man?
Yeah, he's hurting. He's really hurting.
What's his question, Mark?
Yeah, it's been very uncharacteristic of us. We've always been able
Mistakes
to get our momentum back, and it's hard to say. I honestly right now I can't put my finger on that. That's not like us. We had plays to be made that we just didn't make. We normally do. And, some of the things third quarter we came out, I thought we did a really good job defensively, man, held them to 3 and then got the ball back, moved it, but we just couldn't quite make those plays. And so third quarter, we've been there before. And so fourth quarter, you feel like we're going to get it back, and we just couldn't quite get over the hump. And, and that hasn't been us all year, and it showed up today at the worst time.
Drop some of the questions.
Stupid question.
Well, I think one of the things you always tell everybody who's never been here, and particularly the young players, is you don't know which play is going to make the difference, which one. You say that every game, but when you get in there with a heavyweight like Sam Fran, man, it is the difference. And sometimes you can only say so much. You got to live it, unfortunately. You got to get your heart ripped out, which we did. And it's a lesson learned. And look, I told those guys, this may have been our only shot. Do I think that? No. Do I believe that? No. However, I know how hard it is to get here. I'm well aware. And it's going to be twice as hard to get back to this point next year than it was this year. That's the reality. And if we don't have the same hunger and the same work, which is a whole nother thing, once we get the offseason, then we got no shot of getting back here. I don't care how much better we get or what we add or what we draft. It's irrelevant. It's going to be tough.
He's ready to go now.
Our division's going to be loaded back up, and you're not hiding
tougher schedule.
Anymore.
Yeah. OTA's coming up.
And, which is fine.
We can cut out of Dan Campbell.
God.
Gibby, you've been in that position. How did you like the way he faced the questions?
Yeah, I mean, that's really all you can say. We talked about this earlier before he came on. The way he played and positioned this team and the way they believe in each other, the energy they spend on that, it is going to be harder next year. They're not going to sneak up on anybody. We have one team one year doesn't mean it's going to be that good or the same type next year. It'll take him getting them to believe, and it'll take him understanding how to put his players, as he did this year, in position to succeed. And that's what you do as a head coach, as a manager. You're putting your players in a position to succeed, and if you stick together collectively, you get to the World Series, or you get to the Super Bowl, or you get the Stanley Cup. You get a chance to prove that you can do it under those conditions. But when he says that, I know exactly what he's talking about, how it feels. I know, I felt it. I've been defeated before, and I've defeated others before. And I've had crappy series, crappy games, and been picked up by my teammates, and I felt great after that. And that's the kind of players that he seems to be looking for. People that really do pull for each other, and they're not happy just about what they do, but you get to share together. And just the home games were wow. Oof. It was electric. I've never seen it in my lifetime here.
You were down there. Gibby, were you there for both of the playoff games?
No, I was not. I watched it on TV. I was on a plane one time. We watched it on a plane, and that was incredible on the plane. Gosh.
How much noise did you make on the plane during a big play? Did you scream out loud? Did you scare half the plane?
Yeah, you got your earplugs in. You think nobody can hear you. God damn.
Hey, Jared Goff's going to make a shitload of money next year. They're going to have to re-sign him. He's in the last year of his contract. Is he a $50 million quarterback like these, like Jackson and Mahomes? He's kind of a different type of quarterback, but they're going to have to pay him, aren't they?
He's still not the quarterback. Okay. I don't care what anybody says.
Can I ask a dumb question? I mean, they don't have to pay him as much as Mahomes. Is someone else going to pay him as much as Mahomes?
Do. I think they got to pay. I think he's going to get 50 like the rest of them, which is going to, of course, cramp the salary cap a little bit. And
why would he be paid as much as Mahomes or guys that can scramble and do things he can't do? I don't understand that.
And win championship games.
Yeah, maybe 40 then, but Daniel Jones got 40. He's better than Daniel Jones. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of the going rate, and pretty soon it's going to be 60 and 70. But regardless, he's been a terrific story. And you got to give credit to this Brock Purdy. I mean, nobody still wants to give him credit because he was the last guy drafted.
That's dumb.
He's short.
He's good.
He doesn't throw the ball that hard, but yes, he's good.
He's got a great quarterback coach too, Eli. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know that.
You know who his quarterback coach is?
Who's his quarterback coach?
Brian Greasy.
Oh.
I'm just trying to get you into Michigan.
Let me run down the stats quickly. Brock Purdy had a pretty nice game, decent game. 20 for 31 for 267 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. I forgot about the interception. That's right.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey.
Rodrigo.
Yeah, Rodrigo. Christian McCaffrey ran 20 times for 90 yards, 4.5 average, 2 touchdowns. Brock Purdy, 5 carries for 48 yards. Those were big scrambles. Elijah Mitchell, 4 for 7. Debo, 3 carries for 7. And the fullback, Jusic, 1 for 3. Receiving, Debo had 8 catches for 89, 9 targets. Ayuk had 3 for 68. Of course, the one crazy one for 51 yards. McCaffrey, 4 catches for 42, including the one where he broke tackles and got down to the 5-yard line. That was a big first half play. So let's see. Jusic had 2 for 33. The fullback Kittle only caught 2 balls on 3 targets.
That one catch by Juszczyk too, when Purdy was scrambling, should have been sacked, I think, 2 times on that play, and he just got open. It's like, God damn, why can't we have luck like that?
Kittle had 2 for 27. Jennings had 1 for 8. Let's see. What else?
We did have luck like that all year till tonight.
I know.
Yeah, that's true. The Lions.
I wanted it tonight. Gibby.
The Lions had Jared Goff.
I want it tonight too, but you don't always get what you want.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Jared Goff threw 41 balls, completed 25 for 273 yards and a touchdown. David Montgomery, 15 carries, 93 yards and a score. Gibbs had 12 for 45 and a score. Williams had the 1 for 42 and a score. St. Brown had 1 carry for 2 yards. Receiving, Laporta 9 for 97. Amon-Ra 7 for 87. It's funny how Amon-Ra can catch 7 passes and you feel like, God, he should have caught 5 or 6 more.
Yeah.
Josh Reynolds had 1 for 25. Jamison Williams 2 for 25. David Montgomery 2 for 20. Gibbs 3 for 11. And Anthony Fursker, I guess that's the tight end who couldn't stop.
Yep.
He had 1 for 8. And then let's see, we had Melifano had half a sack. Elilu had half a sack. McNeil had a sack. They had another one. After we lost, was it after we lost the fumble or after they tied it up and we had somebody sacked and Melifano fell off Purdy?
Oh yeah,
and he went on for that long.
They duck out of those tackles. They did it several times. They're very good. It looks like UFC fighters out there standing up.
How many yards rushing did the line? Because they had 148 in the first half, and they finished with the announcers couldn't gush enough about how it's the most that the 49ers have given up in a game, more than they given up in a game. Lines of the first half.
Okay, the Lions they rushed for 182 to San Francisco's 155. The Lions are the only team in all the playoff games this year that outrushed their opponent and lost.
Yeah, they had 182. That means they only had 34 in the second half. Anyway, before Gibby goes, I want to ask him a college football question. So I don't want to forget. Can I ask the question now?
Yeah.
Because Gibby, you hate Ohio State as a Spartan almost as much as Michigan does. But what are your thoughts? Because after all, you would have made a shitload of money with NIL, especially going into your senior year when you didn't have to play. You could have gone to the Tigers, which you played anyway. You probably would have been a $1 million player. But what do you think about the incredible amount of money Ohio State has raised? They've opened up new collectives. They hired they replaced their AD with a guy from Texas A&M who's a specialist on NIL. They're buying Alabama's players right and left. They're just restocked their team with cash. And Michigan and Michigan State apparently haven't had a chance to do anything. Well, State just doesn't have the attractive program like Michigan does. But still, it's like, what are your thoughts if you were around playing the game today?
Yeah, I think Michigan State, it was pretty appealing to me when I got a chance to play. I think it still is. It's a great university. There's a lot going on within all the universities that you mentioned, Michigan State, Ohio State, aggressively about raising money. Yeah, I was born too early. And, these guys.
You got a couple of C-notes handed to you in the press by, in the athletic building without really getting anything significant. I know that.
Hey, wait a minute. They want me to donate to these guys. No, they're making all the money. Give me a little.
Hey, what's his name? Stroud just gave $100,000 threw into the pot.
What did Ohio State? Do we know what Ohio State paid for that great cornerback they got from Alabama, or any of the other players? What the amount is?
Got no idea.
No, but it's probably $1 million or so. And they also got a 5-star quarterback, a high school kid who just went to practice with them in December, already left Alabama to go to Ohio State. So who knows what they paid him?
But you know what? The rules are the same for everybody. Any school could really do this. And Eli, you really hit the nail on the head. The guy they hired, I can't think of his name, the AD.
His name is Ross Bjork.
Who, I got to say, look at his track record. Terrible track record. I mean, he's the guy who really got Ole Miss sued with the whole Hugh Freeze, paying players and blaming the previous coach. And it's a whole mess. Then he goes to A&M. He doubled down with Jimbo Fisher, cost a lot of money there. So the only thing he's done right is increase the NIL money for players. And that's why he's the AD now at Ohio State. Yeah. It's fair. It's fine.
Until they rein it in and figure it out, because for decades the NCAA tried to pretend they were student athletes and keep the money away from them. Suddenly the floodgates open, and now the NFL game is so much more sincere. They got a salary cap. All the salaries are listed. You can know what anybody makes. Mm-hmm. They got to conform to certain rules. And in college, it's so out of control. Anybody
crazy.
Who raises money can win. It's crazy, but.
It is nuts.
Hey, look I spent 3 years on probation for one of my teammates getting Ted Bell Howard Wires bought Ted Bell a suit. I spent on probation for 3 fucking years.
That's right.
How do I feel about it? You gotta be shitting me.
That is so stupid.
You know what? Things have changed. That's all we can really say. So
Terrell Pryor got suspended 5 games for getting the tattoo.
Yeah. So, Gibby, did you find out they were on probation before you signed to play at Michigan State, or that happened after you already signed?
No,
he was there.
I went to Michigan State. We played our freshman year, and then all of a sudden we were under investigation. Ted Bell, Howard Wires, I guess they went over to his house or something and saw his credit card and bought a suit, and they frickin' 3 years. 3 years. Full probation. They basically death penalty, gave us the death penalty. We would have went to the Rose Bowl my senior year, and I'm just, then I got drafted as a junior, but I said, I'm going back. I love these guys, because when we got put on probation, a lot of guys were saying, fuck these guys. I'm going out of here. I'm transferring. I said, go ahead. We don't want you. You don't want to be here? Get out of here. We rebuilt and beat Michigan that year for the Big Ten title.
24-15, damn it.
That's what we were about. It's a little different now. I'm not belly aching, but I'm just saying. You're asking me how I feel about it? Shit.
3 years. 3
I
years.
was lucky when Andy McDonald dropped a C note in my hand so I could pay my
That's
phone
right.
bill.
That's right. The green flies.
3 years over a suit. That's so stupid. It's amazing.
Harbaugh got 3 games over a hamburger, and that was today. That was modern day. But the
come on.
Yeah, but remember the NCAA tweeted out it was not about a cheeseburger. That was their infamous tweet.
Well, that's because that was the cult talking point, was that it was a cheeseburger, but they still should not be responding to the cult. I mean, the cult does not represent the school or Jim Harbaugh or anything. Hey, Gibby, thanks for coming on with us tonight. And I wish we could say we'd do it again in 2 weeks, but nope, this is the end of the season. Anyway, we'll be ready to talk Tigers in a while, though. Did you like that they signed Colt Keith today, a guy who's never had a major league at bat, to a lengthy, pretty valuable contract?
Well, I mean, it's not a foreign thing. They're doing that around the league. Right. Tigers think of Colt Keith highly. They're trying to save money down the road. I think they'd like to see him be able to play second base next year. He's probably his strength is more hitting than.
Oh, he left us in I don't know. He left us in suspense.
He was going to say fielding or stealing bases.
He's still there.
As I looked him up today, he doesn't. He's not a big base stealer, but he is a hell of a hitter and hits for power too, and hits for average. Gibby, are we?
It's a good way for Gibby to go out. He leaves us wanting more.
That's right.
All right, Gibby, thank you for coming on. If you're there or you're not there, we cannot hear you, but thanks so much. We're about to wrap it up anyway, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll be talking baseball soon, or bowling, one or the other. Anyway, appreciate it.
You're right, bowling. In fact, I tried to watch some. I can't even watch golf anymore. I mean, the PGA, until they figure this thing out, is dead. I tried watching. These are great tournaments now. The top 5 guys in the tournament, at Torrey Pines, named Pavone, Highgard, Lashley, Knapp, and Yeager. Where is Brooks Koepka? Where is John Rahm? Where is Cam Smith? This tour has become a joke as the whole golf world is fractured, and maybe nobody else cares but me. But I like watching golf, and I can't even watch it anymore because I don't know any of these guys, and the big names aren't there.
Hey, were you guys happy that Michigan hired the assistant coach?
Well, yeah. I mean, what else are they going to do this late in the game? I love Sharon too, and more importantly, everybody in that building really likes Sharon more.
But he's a very young guy,
which could be a good thing.
Has he
unproven?
Has he been
totally
a head coach?
Unproven. He's 4-0. Eli is head coach.
He's unproven as a head coach. We know that it's more than just filling in and without the pressure of running the program.
I'm being very facetious.
A lot of young coaches are being hired. I mean, you got D'Amico Ryans, is 37, coaches the Texans.
God,
you got the guy that replaced Bill Belichick. I forget his name right now. Mayo, Gerard Mayo, was 37 years old. So it isn't like Moore is too young, but I think leading a program is a little bit different than being an offensive coordinator. But hey, hopefully so. It's just that Michigan's kind of freaked out because Ohio State is signing all the players and is awash in cash, and we haven't heard anything being done for Michigan. So it may be a little rebuilding.
I mean, it is being done. I do agree with you. I mean, remember, Harbaugh was there even when he was suspended on the weekend, so he sets the game plan and everything that goes on throughout the week. So that is a big challenge for Sharon. That being said, with the portal and NIL, I think continuity is pretty big right now to keep the guy around that the players already know and like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. It was the right move. He deserved it. You're right. He's been there. The players know him, believe in him. He's got a little experience in coaching those 4 games. So yeah, it was the right thing to do. But is he going to be able to succeed the way Harbaugh does? Who knows?
Hey, I'm just asking because I don't know. Has Sharon Moore been a head coach somewhere else?
No.
He's never been a head coach. That's a big first job. I mean, it's a very big first job. Mm-hmm. But I understand why they did it, and surely the Portland recruiting. I hear a lot of people complaining about it, but Michigan always seems to get people.
What were people complaining about?
Oh, just that their recruiting isn't that great, or they're late in the portal. And I'm like, Michigan always gets great people in the portal, and they always recruit great people. One way or the other, they seem to keep getting the players.
Yeah, I hope so.
They do. They do.
No, are they slow? Are they off to a bad start this year or something?
It seems that way. I mean, hey, you haven't read anything. I mean, I see Ohio State. They got these well-known stars. They get the guy, what's his name, Downs from Alabama. They get the top running back. From trying to get some of the names here, I have them. They had Caleb Downs, the SEC Freshman of the Year defensive back, because Saban left. So now all the Alabama guys got 30 days to make up their mind where they go.
Why would you
Caleb
leave?
Downs?
I don't understand why the rush to leave Alabama. Is Alabama really going to just fall on their face because Nick Saban's gone?
Well,
that seems stupid to
I
me.
wouldn't think so. But
I wouldn't think so either.
Who knows?
Okay, how about this? You don't know who the coach is going to be, and somebody from Ohio State says, meet this guy from the foundation. He'll give you $1 million a year. You're going to Ohio State. So they're awash with cash,
Which
and
is
they're buying
tampering.
players.
That's
They
tampering.
get that. What?
I love how everyone's mad at tampering now. It's like the tampering's been going on since this NIL thing started.
I would just.
They're always talking.
I mean, maybe I'm stupid, but I would just think that Alabama would also have a collective that would be throwing money at people going, why we can let these people leave? And I would think Michigan would do the same thing, and they should.
Yeah.
Well, you know what
Yeah, I
happens
agree.
when somebody else wants you, they bump up your salary and you go, and then it's too late for the people that had you to catch up. So maybe this offensive lineman Seth McLaughlin for Alabama that left was only getting $200,000, and Ryan Day says, "How about 8? How's that sound, pal?" And there he is. So it's a wild cash grab, and it's just what the rules are now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love to, wouldn't you love to know what the salaries of all these players are? How weird is it that we suddenly have money into the picture and we have no idea what anyone is making?
That's what I said. The NFL is so much more sincere. Every salary is listed.
Because
it's part of the
tethered.
salary cap. It's in the newspaper. You can look it up. The Players Association has all of it. And then you got Matt Rule saying, it cost me between $1 million and $2 million to get a quarterback. And what did Ohio State do? They grabbed the Kansas State starter from right away, almost immediately. Will Howard, starter at Kansas State.
Do we know what they paid him?
Anyways.
No, I don't think it's out there what they paid him. No.
That's really weird. I mean, all this stuff typically is disclosed when it comes to professional sports, but because it's college and it's new,
it's not a professional sport, Drew. They're student athletes. Remember, it's tethered to higher education. They're not
amateurs. Are not paid.
They're not employees. They're just selling their name, image, and likeness. It's ludicrous.
As soon as
the NCAA
they're employees,
created this
they
mess.
form a union, and then it's really going to get crazy.
Yeah.
I don't understand any of it. But all right. Well, I think, was there anything else, Eli, you wanted to cover?
Let's see. I had two stats of the week. LeBron James, got to give him credit, man. 20 All-Star teams. None of us around here are big LeBron, but you got to admit that the guy had an incredible career. He really has never gotten in trouble. He's a pretty good guy, despite some of the things that are a tad bothersome. But you have to give him credit for that. And tell me, this is off the subject, but this is the non-sports stats of the week. A survey by the Public Religion Research Institute says that 28% of Generation Z, that's 18 to 25, 28% identify as LGBTQ. and only 4% of the boomers and 7% could that stat be right?
No.
Has it gotten to the point where 30% of the kids 18 to 25 don't know what the hell they are or are multiple sexual attractions and genders?
I think the majority of that must be the B.
The B?
LGB.
Yeah.
It's still a big number, so I didn't know whether you thought that could be the real thing or not.
Wait, what's B stand for again?
Bisexual.
Oh, bisexual.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's all the women.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Layla agrees.
Yeah.
Lila.
She's up
Lila,
for this
sorry.
show. She's great. Okay, so I will close by doing my little note here for our
please do.
sponsor. Watching televised football in this high definition world has become the greatest show on earth. We all know that. The clarity, the intimacy provided by those microphones and cameras, mesmerizing. It's technology that was unimaginable, at least to me, not long ago. Same goes for the technology Dr. Yaldo has. You need HD quality vision to fully enjoy HD TV, and no one in Michigan provides it as expertly or more often than Yaldo does. A Drew and Mike listener named Dana Wolf wrote the podcast this week saying he was recovering from his clear lens procedure and gave Yaldo a 5-star mention on what he called his new peepers. Clear lenses are implanted to give you crisp close-up vision, eliminate the need for reading glasses, and allow you to see with stunning precision at all distances. Quick, painless, and permanent. If you've had your fill of glasses, contacts, and readers, do what Dana and hundreds of other listeners to this fine show have done. See Dr. Yaldo and get amazing vision at all distances. 800-398-EYES or go to YaldoEyeCenter.com. And on that note, I will bid you all a fond good night.
Time for Tubby bye-bye. Time for Tubby bye-bye.
All right, Eli.
Thanks, guys.